Well, the rumor mill is turning once again, and we're already starting to get some rumors about the next iPhone, whatever it may be called, which is still about a half year away, so these are pretty early. And today I've got 10 of the most likely rumors, which are actually pretty exciting. Now, it's doubtful that all of these are going to be true, obviously, but hey, we can still hope. And these aren't going to really be in any particular order. So enough talk, let's get started. First up is the rumor that Apple may skip the 7S name altogether. Instead of going from 7 to 7S, they might just go right to either iPhone 8 or iPhone X, which is going to be the 10th anniversary of the original iPhone released in 2007. And Apple tends to make the bigger upgrades on the full number upgrades versions, so if this rumor is true, I think we can expect a lot more major features added into this one. And it's already been kind of speculated that Apple was holding back with the iPhone 7 to make a major improvement with the next version. And this would make sense if they wanted to make the 10th anniversary version a bigger deal. Next, number 2 is that Apple will finally give the iPhone an OLED screen. Until now, they've had all LCD screens, which do look good obviously, but you really can't beat OLED these days. And there have been plenty of other Android phones that have had OLED screens for a while now, so this certainly wouldn't be a surprise. And it's been reported that Apple has placed many orders for OLED screens with manufacturers, so this could be very likely if that's true. Interestingly, it's also been speculated that the OLED screen will be a whopping 5.8 inches, which is huge. But other conflicting reports say 5.5 inches, the same as the Plus now, so we'll have to wait for that. Either way though, one benefit of OLED is that they can use a lot less energy than LCDs, which would be great for battery life, which iPhones never have really been that great at, and it's potentially thinner so they can fit more stuff in there, so that could all be true as well. Number 3, again, this one has to do with the screen, and that is that the screen will actually be a curved screen with basically no bezel whatsoever. This makes sense along with the OLED rumor because OLED panels are much more flexible in their shape. So it might be something like the Samsung Galaxy Edge phones, where it kind of wraps around the side of the phone. And the rumor is that they won't just remove the bezel from the sides, but the top and bottom as well. So really, the entire front of the phone will just be the screen. Though you might be wondering what that means for the home button. Ah, good catch. That brings us to rumor number 4, which is that Apple is going to eliminate the home button and instead use a virtual home button built right into the screen itself. This one might seem a bit crazy, so I'm definitely a little bit skeptical about it myself. I don't think we've ever seen anything like this on any phone, but if anyone can pull it off, Apple can, basically. And if you're wondering, yes, that would mean that the fingerprint sensor would also have to be built into the screen somehow, or unless they wanted to move it to the back, but I think that's unlikely. I think if they're going to remove it, they're going to remove it altogether. I personally think that this one is one of the more unlikely rumors, especially since Apple spent a lot of resources probably developing that haptic home button, not to just ditch it a year later. But if it really is true, one of the major implications is that you could have a much bigger screen with the same phone size. Considering phones seem to just be getting bigger and bigger these days for some reason, I don't know why, at least this would allow them to follow the trend of bigger, huge screens without having to make the whole phone gigantic. Okay, next up, number 5, is that there are not only going to be regular and Plus versions of the iPhone, but rather 3 different iPhone versions to choose from. The rumor is that there will be 2 iPhone versions with the typical LCD screens, and a third premium model, whatever that may mean, with the larger OLED panel. And the thought is that perhaps this premium model would be the special anniversary model that people have been speculating about. This would be pretty interesting, but I'm not sure that Apple would really divide up their resources that way, considering that at that point, those models would have a huge difference in hardware and therefore performance. I think the performance differences would just be too much. I think with the OLED panels, they'd have way more features than the LCD would allow, such as bigger battery life, curved screen, perhaps a virtual home button. So the premium version would be more like a completely different model as opposed to just a step up. And I don't think Apple would want to do that and undermine the rest of their line, but that's just me. Maybe people wouldn't be too happy about it, especially if the premium model is going to be way more expensive and limited in the number. And that kind of brings us to number 6, the price. There's quite a bit of speculation about the price actually, especially considering the other rumors like OLED Screen. And the word on the street is that the top-end model will come in at over $1,000. Jeez. Now, that might sound like a lot, but remember that even the maxed out iPhone 7 was about $969. This seems to be mostly because of the new OLED screens, which cost a lot more than the current LCD screens. Obviously, OLED is a much newer technology, so manufacturing processes have been in place not as long to bring down costs like they have for LCD. I've read that OLED panels could cost anywhere from 2 to 3 times as much as the current LCD screens of the same size. Throw in some of the other major features and yeah, $1,000 sounds pretty typical as far as iPhones go at least. But if you ask me, yeah, I think they do cost too much in the first place, especially because of the iPhone's crappy battery life. It's like, really, they're gonna skimp on the battery life and put everything else into it? iPhones have among the tiniest batteries in the entire phone market, and yeah, it is understandable because they can get better battery performance out of it because they can control the hardware and software, but still, come on. Anyway, I digress. Let's move on. Number 7, facial recognition features. In addition to the fingerprint sensor, Apple might introduce some other hardware to authenticate just by looking at the phone. This would include the camera on the front, obviously, possibly along with an infrared camera and a laser sensor. The reason you would need more than just a regular camera, I guess, is so that it can ensure that no one's just holding up a picture or a video of you and that it's an actual person in front of it. I think this would be a pretty neat feature, but honestly, I probably wouldn't use it for any real security to log in. I just don't think I could trust it enough, at least at first, before it's tested really well. Plus, I doubt it would be much faster than using my fingerprint. If I'm gonna take my phone out of my pocket, for example, I'm already moving my finger to the sensor, so I don't think it would be very necessary. We'll see. Moving on, number 8, wireless charging. Oh man, I've been waiting for this forever. Apple, please add it. I mean, I was already disappointed enough when Google's Pixel phone didn't include it. Having used other phones with wireless charging, like the Galaxy S7, the LG G4, or even the old Nexus 5, I think wireless charging is incredibly useful, and you might not know this if you haven't used it before. You might not think you need it, but at the end of the day, for example, when you're in bed and you want to charge your phone for the night, it's just so easy to just plop it down on a charging stand without having to reach and fumble for the cable. This same goes for the middle of the night. If you wake up, you have to look at your phone where the lights are off, and you unplug your phone and drop the cable somewhere, and then you have to search for it in the dark to plug it back in. You don't have to worry about that with the charging stand, you just plop it in. So much easier. But my point is, it's 2017, get with the program, Apple, and Google for that matter, just put it in the next Pixel. I need it. This would also help with the poor battery life of the iPhone, since you could just sit it on a charging pad when you're not using it. Lots of benefits. I'm hoping we'll see this one for sure to be true. Now, coming near the end, number 9 is that the iPhone 8 will have an all-glass design, similar to what the iPhone 4 had, of course, with a different shape. If you remember, it had a metal chassis, which this one would probably be steel, but the actual outer shell was all glass. I'm not sure how I feel about this one though. I think it would look pretty awesome, but just thinking about dropping it gives me anxiety enough. It is bad enough when you have one screen that can break, but when it's the whole phone, I think you already know what I'm talking about. I don't even have to explain it to you. Would Apple do this though? Yeah, I think they actually would, simply out of design. I'm not sure they would keep out a feature just because some people might break it. I think they would put it in if they think it looks good. I mean, people are gonna break it anyway. For me though, I put cases on all my phones anyway, so I don't really care what the back of the phone looks like at all. All right, finally, number 10 is a 3D camera. Yeah, I know, if you're like me, you're probably thinking, what is this gimmick from 2010? But it actually doesn't seem like this rumor is based solely on taking 3D videos or anything like that, which I do think is a gimmick, but rather the ability to recognize 3D objects and use augmented reality. It's going to be used for other stuff, not just the gimmicks. So it seems that it wouldn't be like the gimmicky 3D cameras we saw several years ago, but more of a tool to be used in apps and stuff like that. And if you look at it that way, I think it could actually be pretty cool depending on how it's used by developers. App developers could use it for all sorts of features like scanning things for 3D printing, or if anyone still played Pokemon Go, it would be better for that or something, like to actually scan the environment. Also, when taking regular photos, I think the 3D ability would help with the photo effects and autofocus, like the portrait mode. It can detect, kind of like Intel RealSense, what part is actually the person and be able to focus on that. Obviously, there's more to it than I can think of in this moment, but it still could be pretty cool, I think, not just a gimmick. So, there are 10 rumors we've heard so far about the next iPhone. Even though it's still pretty long ways off, should be pretty interesting to see how these rumors develop. Maybe we'll lose some, maybe we'll get even more, but I'm sure as we get closer, there's gonna be plenty more that we'll find out about. They gotta be able to get you to buy a new phone every year, of course. In any case, hopefully you guys thought this video was pretty cool. I would love to hear what you guys think about these rumors, or if you've heard some yourself that I didn't mention. Who knows, maybe the next iPhone will not only have no headphone jack, but no charging port either. You just gotta buy a new one once the battery dies. We could talk about all that down in the comments section. If you guys did enjoy this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. I'd appreciate it. And if you wanna keep watching, I'll put some other videos right here. You can click on these even if you're on a phone. And if you wanna subscribe, I make new videos every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. And also consider clicking the bell next to the subscribe button for notifications, or else YouTube might not show you the new videos at all. The algorithm kind of hates me. So thanks again for watching, guys. I'm looking forward to hearing from you. And as usual, I'll see you next time. Have a good one.